2, 1.
What?
Hey guys, welcome back to the Women in Power segment on The Larry Show. I'm not alone today. I'm with the beautiful lady next to me. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, hello Larry Podcast. My name is Palesa Mashigo. I'm 19 years old and I'm from Polokwane in Limpopo.
Thank you for coming. You look so gorgeous. Who does your makeup? Because wow.
I did my makeup with my amazing makeup sponsor, Ruth Padma. So you can find her on Instagram at Ruth Padma.
You look gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
Can you please tell us more about yourself? Who's Palesa?
Okay, so Palesa is a calm, ambitious Swati girl living in Limpopo. I'm the founder of the Princess for a Day Foundation. I'm the founder of the Breaking Boundaries series. But despite all that, I just am a down-to-earth person. I enjoy cooking, spending time with friends and family. That's just me in a nutshell.
That's so wholesome. I love that. I love that. So, like, how was your upbringing? How did you grow up? Were you privileged or what?
Okay, I feel like I come from quite a good upbringing, not necessarily the wealthiest, but also I wouldn't say we struggled per se. Like all families, we all have come up stories. My parents definitely worked hard to get us where we are. I actually used to stay in Nelspruit in Mpumalanga in a township called Tegwani South in a like one bedroom, like RDP.
Wow.
And then my parents worked very hard for us to move to Polokwane and live where we stay now and have the type of lifestyle we have. But that's basically me. I had a great childhood. I didn't rush anything. You know, I'm the type of kid that played in the mud. I was the only girl out of all my cousins, so I was playing with the wire cars. Like, I'm that girl. Like, I can do anything and everything.
Wow, that's lovely. Do you have siblings?
Yes, I do. I have 2 little brothers.
Okay, so you're the only girl that does everything that's so girly and nice.
I'm the only girl. As much as I am girly, I think I'm a bit of both. You know, I like to get down and dirty. I'm an adrenaline junkie. Anything fun.
Okay, so in terms of modeling, when did you start your pageant career?
Okay, so I started modeling in 2018, right? I didn't start off with pageants. I just wanted to familiarize myself with the industry, so I just started classes and things like that. Then I did my first pageant in 2019, which was Miss Capricorn District, where I got top 10. And for somebody who just started, I was very happy, especially because when I actually started modeling, I've always had the passion or the interest in it, but I always felt insecure. You know, when you're young, you don't feel pretty enough, and modeling comes with the stigma that you have to be well done and like perfect. So I felt insecure, and I actually, when I entered my modeling studio, I actually kept it a secret. I hid it from everybody because I felt like I wasn't pretty enough. But obviously in due time you grow, and I gained my confidence and I entered the pageant. So that's basically when I started.
How did you work on your confidence?
Okay, my confidence. You see the saying, fake it till you make it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
It works,
the one.
right?
Definitely. I've been very insecure my whole entire life. For a number of reasons. I believe that society puts these beauty standards on us, which are quite difficult for the black girl, the typical black girl, to attain. Dark-skinned, Afrocentric features such as myself, you know. It's quite easy for you to feel like you're not worthy, right? But the way in which I gained confidence, hey, I just lied to myself. I just looked in the mirror and I was like, girl, you're beautiful. Even on my worst days, I told myself, because I come from a point where I hated myself so much I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. And then I grew to the person that I am now. So how you build confidence, you just tell yourself you're beautiful. You see, when they say affirmations, affirm yourself till you believe it. And surround yourself with people that also see you just as beautiful. Surround yourself with people that will show you how God looks at you. So that's basically like how I grew my confidence.
Did you have someone that supported you when you were starting your modeling career? Someone that made sure that you know that you're beautiful, you deserve to believe in yourself?
My mom. My mom definitely like kickstarted the career. My mom is one person who believes that I can do anything and everything. So she actually brought the idea to me. She's like, "There's this new studio in town. I want you to do modeling." You know, when I was younger, when I was watching like Toddlers and Tiaras, when the whole like modeling interest began, my mom is the one that was like, "I'm gonna put you in this." You know, she used to buy me like crowns and everything like that. So it was a full circle moment. So my mom definitely played a very big role in that.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Like, what's your biggest lesson that you've learned through pageants?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I feel like pageantry is broad, so I wouldn't say there's one major lesson. I think the greatest lesson for me is, first of all, the importance of relationships. That's what I've gained from pageantry above all else. Like, you get the opportunity to meet people from all walks of life. And I feel like in life, you get success through connections. Pageantry gives you that. Connections, you get social skills, you know how to speak to people. And another thing with pageantry that it's taught me is to not compare myself. It's a very brutal world, brutal industry. There are beautiful girls, beautiful women with like much more money than you have.
True.
And you have to be able to stand in a room with people 10 times more accomplished as you and still deem yourself worthy. So I think that's also what it taught me, to not compare myself to other people.
Do you believe pretty privilege works for you?
Because you're a beautiful young lady, you know.
Thank you.
So do you think like it really works for you in terms of getting the things that you want?
Okay. It's actually crazy that you say that. You know, like the saying on TikTok, like growing up ugly.
True.
Yeah. So I feel like, and obviously when you grow up insecure, you still have that mindset.
But then I want to understand what's ugly, because I feel like people tend to misuse this word.
That's very true.
What's ugly? How can you define ugly?
Okay, I actually don't believe in the saying ugly because I feel like beauty is through the eye of the beholder. I think ugly is actually depending on your self-esteem. When you see yourself as less than, then obviously you'll feel like outwardly and internally that you're ugly, you know, even though you're not. So it doesn't really have to do with looks, but it has to do with self-esteem. So I'd say growing up ugly because at that time, because internally I was not okay, externally I couldn't see myself as good. But back to your question, how does pretty privilege help me? Because I grew up I had a low self-esteem. I didn't really think I was pretty, you know.
You did not see it.
I didn't hold myself on that hierarchy of like pretty privilege. I can gain things because I'm pretty. But I actually don't believe that it works for me. I think that I'm one person who everything that I work towards, I work for it, you know. But I definitely believe that appearance and first impressions matter. So that's maybe where pretty privilege comes in. Always putting an effort when you meet people. You know, that's, I would say, the pretty privilege. Yeah.
Okay, so do you believe that you are a pretty woman right now?
Oh yes, now I definitely.
Definitely.
Now I
Boss
believe
girl,
it.
I love
believe
that.
it.
I love that. So which school did you attend?
I went to Mitchell House.
Okay.
Yes.
How was the experience going to Mitchell House? Because it's like private high school, you know.
Okay, I know that there's stigmas about private schools, private high schools, but I feel like with Mitchell House, it was such a great community. I feel like for me personally, because I'm quite a sociable person, and as much as I can be an introvert, it was a great community. We all supported each other. We had amazing school spirit. It was just a good community, and we were very understanding. And as much as people think it's all these rich kids, actually, we do admit that people come from all walks of life.
Yeah, true.
You know, Mitchell House can have a person who, you know, is on bursary, who's on scholarship.
True.
So we're very open to every type of people. So I had an overall good experience at Mitchell House.
That's beautiful. Tell me about friendships. Like, do you have friends that are close to you? Are you like open to just making people your friends generally, or what?
With friendships, I take my friendships very seriously because I feel like your friendship is your extended family. So with me, I have quite a small circle of people. Like you have your small circle that you tell like personal things, and then I have like my general friends that like if I want to go out for dinner, I can go with. But with friendships, I think I'm quite selective as a person. Upon meeting me, I'm not always the friendliest, or I won't jump at you.
Yeah.
But if you give me time to defrost, then you know I'll get to know you. So I think if you give me the time and you're patient to get to know me, then I'm actually quite open. I actually love making new friends. Hence pageantry.
Oh, okay, that's nice. What about relationships? Are you in a relationship?
No.
So you
No. Yeah.
do you have relationship experience though?
I haven't been in like a proper relationship, I'd say, but I've been in so many situationships and stuff where I'd say I kind of like have an idea or like of what I want and what I expect from a relationship. So yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
so how would you define a situationship?
Okay, so a situationship to me is just a situation where both of you guys are confused. One person wants a relationship and the other one just wants the person for fun. And I feel like the person that wants the relationship is the one that keeps it going because you're trying to hold on to the person. So that's just a situationship for me. It really goes anywhere. To be honest, situationships don't go anywhere. But yeah.
So like, in which position were you? Were you the one that wanted the fun, or the one that wanted a relationship?
Yes. Okay, I first started off as the person that wanted the relationship, but I think over time you get traumatized, you know, they play you, they play you and stuff like that. And then, you know, I just became the thug, you know, so now I don't get played anymore.
Are you having fun?
Yeah.
Are you in a situationship right now?
No, now it's just me and Jesus. Like now, I'm just...
Tell me about your relationship with God. I want to know, since you're focusing on Jesus right now, so let's step into that. What does God mean to you?
Okay, for me, God is everything. I grew up in a Christian household, but not an unorthodox household. We grew up in a house where they taught us God as the loving and merciful and kind God, not the one that judges, not the one that's harsh, not the one that says you can't be like this, you can't be like that. So I have a great relationship with God. I would say I go to God with everything, and yeah, I feel like I surround myself with like-minded people who also believe in God just as much as I do.
Okay, let's talk about people who do not believe in God. How would you advise them to build a relationship with God?
Okay, I actually do have people in my space and friends who don't believe in God. I think the biggest mistake that we make as Christians is that we like to judge people. And that's what actually scares away the atheists, everybody else who's not Christian, because we are here judging them, right? I think for people who don't believe in God, show them God's character through the way that you act.
Yes.
The way that you are kind to them, the way that you treat them, the way that you relate with God will show that, oh, I want to try out this God.
Yes.
So yeah, that's how it is.
Because at the end of the day, God says, come as you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, so tell me about the program that you're running.
So my first baby is Princess for a Day Foundation, which I basically started in June of 2023. We did our first project there. It's centered around the upliftment of children because I'm very passionate about children. And overall, I see it just as an empowerment program in all aspects, empowering girls and empowering children as a whole. So that's basically what Princess for a Day is all about.
Okay, so what empowered you to start the whole program?
Okay, so I've always had the idea to start a program. I didn't always have a name, but I always knew that I wanted to make a difference in society and have a program that really targets children and targets helping them, because the success of a country is dependent on its youth, right? So what pushed me to actually start it is because somebody in my family said to me, you've been planning this project for 2 years and you still haven't started.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, let me prove you wrong.
Yeah.
And that actually gave me the drive to say, there's nothing that I cannot do.
Yeah.
So I started the project, I registered it, and then I started planning our very first project, which was the book and blanket drive. So yeah, that's what inspired me. That comment that should have broken me actually made me want to get going.
So what's your biggest campaign that you've ever ran? Like you felt like, yo, I really did my best here and I really went out?
Because Princess for a Day is still a baby and it's like less than a year old, right? I truly believe that our first project is the one I'm most proud of. We were able to raise 150 plus books and also 35 blankets, meaning that each and every single child in that cancer ward had a blanket for the winter time, along with beanies, along with gloves. So for me, that's the greatest project because I really outsourced. I worked hard for it. I went out, I reached out, I saved money. So for me, that's the biggest project and it's only up from here.
Okay, that's beautiful. So what are your plans for the year?
So my plans for the year are to continue with, making an impact with children, with society. My plans for the year to focus on my series, Breaking Boundaries series, have more impactful guests, and to go to university. Those are my plans.
Yes. Go to school, Yes. Women in power. I love that. I really do love that. Tell me about your series.
Okay, my series. So the Breaking Boundaries series is also a series I started last year.
Okay.
So last year was actually an
Yeah,
amazing
yeah.
year.
Wait, just like, you know what?
I'm doing it all.
Yes.
But I started it last year. It's centered around having important conversations. I truly believe that conversation is the first step towards any type of change. So we invite different types of guests. It was actually a Women's Month special. It started off as that. We started it in August. So we invited different types of empowermental, impactful guests. One of them being Mary Grace Whitehead, Miss Limpopo, where we spoke about the importance of economic empowerment. As somebody who's had to take a gap year last year, I understand how important it is to have career guidance, entrepreneurial empowerment, and we don't have enough conversations.
True.
Too many times after matric, people come out of school and they don't know what comes next. What are they doing with their lives? How are they getting to school? And I believe that if our society and if our government actually started implementing the steps towards saying, you know what, we need to put things in place in high school so that when our children leave, they know what comes next. So we've had conversations like that. We've had Mary Grace Whitehead, we've had Nandi Mavala, Miss South Africa, Second Princess 2023, and it's only up from here. I'm hoping for more and more guests. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's very beautiful. How can you empower young girls that just like you that are taking a gap year and they feel so lost and they feel like they have no future? How can you empower them to believe in themselves, to stay strong and know that the Lord is there for them?
I think I'd say first and foremost, the feeling where you feel like you have no future, it's common for all of us.
Yeah.
We all felt that, especially at the very beginning when everybody is moving to school and you're just sitting here and you're like, what's next? I want you to know that you're not alone. You're not a failure because you're not sure what's happening yet, or even if you are sure, life happens. Things don't always go the way that we want. Number one, you're not alone. There are people going through the same thing as you, if not worse. Number two, use this year to make yourself better in whatever way possible. Better yourself internally, better your family relationships, better your friendships, better your career. Put plans or systems in place so that when you finally leave, you know what you're doing. So that's the advice that I'd give, to say you're not alone. And you can get through it, just as I got through it, even though I was at my worst, my most depressed at the very beginning. I overcame because I decided that I'm not defined by my circumstance. Just because I'm not going to school this year doesn't deem me a failure. I'm not stupid.
True.
Just because I'm not going to university doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. And everybody has their own calling. And my calling was to be at home in 2023.
Yeah.
True. Let's talk about mental health, right? What does mental health mean to you?
Mental health is so important to me, and I'm so glad that right now in society we're having more situations where we're implementing the importance of looking after it. I think for the longest time, all the generations before us have suffered traumas, and we could not have names for them. We would just say Bamuloya or something like that, when actually it was like a mental health problem. So for me, it's so important that we have the conversations, like I said, and we implement the steps and we start normalizing asking for help.
Yeah.
Normalize saying I'm not okay. Normalize saying I've been feeling sad, I can't get out of bed. Because another person thinks that person is just lazy. But that person is depressed. That's why they can't get out of bed. So mental health is very important.
How can we break the stigma? Because I believe there are people that still believe that people that have mental health issues are just trying to play victim and they do not want to face life as it is. So how can we break the stigma?
I think it's so important to acknowledge that mental health or mental issues are a real thing. You know, people are genuinely struggling with mental disorders, all types of things falling under the mental sector, you know. It's so important to acknowledge that it's there, not to gaslight it, not to make it seem like it's small. That's the first step. And the second step with breaking the stigma is to continue to have platforms like this, platforms like the Larry Show, platforms like the Breaking Boundaries series, platforms, public platforms on TV, social media, you know, to say that we need to start normalizing looking after our mental health. So I think that's the way of breaking the stigma. We have to normalize it and put it in more mainstream media.
Yeah.
Looking at the gender-based violence in South Africa, what's your take on that? It's a very sensitive topic, I know, but then like a lot is going on. A lot of women are being traumatized by this topic. What's your take?
Living in South Africa as a woman is very difficult. Living in South Africa as a woman means being on alert 24/7. The concept of being somewhat carefree is non-existent. And my take is that we need to do better as a country. We need to start teaching our boys from a young age that they are not entitled to a woman. They are not entitled to anybody's body or anything of that sort. And we also need to teach our women to not stay in situations that are abusive, because that's usually the root of most gender-based violence, abusive relationships, you know, which lead to being in a household where you raise kids in an abusive state, you know. We need to teach our women to know their worth, to be able to move out of that platform. We need to actually break the generational curses, because I believe it's a generational curse to come from an abusive house and create your own. We need to break the curses. We need to have the conversations, and our justice system definitely has to improve. Our police definitely has to take the rape issue, the gender-based violence, the murder issue on a much higher scale. It must be on the same equivalent as the issues in Israel, for example, because our women are dying, our women are dwindling. So yeah, that's basically how I take it. We definitely do need to start doing better.
And as young as you are, do you believe you can prevent it in a way?
I think one person trying to make a difference is impactful than nobody at all doing anything. You know, one person doing something just makes that much more difference. So how can I change it? I wouldn't say that I have all the answers. I don't. I'm just Palesa, right?
Yeah.
Actually, not just Palesa. I'm Palesa. But I don't have all the answers. But I definitely think research, be aware. You know, we perish due to ignorance. Do your research, learn. Don't come into conversation with people and say things that you don't know. Research, make yourself more educated about the topic, and that's how you can do better. That's how I can change it. I'm educated on it. I know about it. Now I know what to look out for. I know how to somewhat avoid it. You know, I know how to keep myself safe. I know that I have to have pepper spray in the car, things like that. I think that's how you change it, by being aware, doing the research, and applying and implementing the things that you're supposed to do to keep yourself safe.
Okay, that's very thoughtful of you. Yes, a mouthful. Yes. So, how important is education to you?
Education is very important to me. Hence why I'm going to university this year. And as much as I won't specify as of right now, but that's why I'm going to university this year, because I truly believe that being educated opens so many doors, you know. But I also want to highlight the fact that in as much as not, education comes in different forms. Education is not particularly a university education. Education can be taking a course to uplift yourself in whatever industry you're in. If you're in beauty, take a course in that. Go work with other people that are in that industry. For me, education is very important, because when you're educated, you're able to bring your point across. You're able to step into any room and say that this is what I have to say, and you're going to listen to me. So yeah, that's why education is very important.
Let's talk about entrepreneurship. There are so many women that do not believe that they can make it in entrepreneurship because they just feel like they don't have the capabilities to actually run businesses. How can you motivate women to start their own businesses and make their own financial needs met?
Okay, I think I'd firstly highlight the rate of unemployment in our country. I think at this point we don't have a choice but to actually start being entrepreneurs. If we want to secure a future for ourselves, for our youth, we cannot merely rely on our government to provide us with jobs. Yes, they're in the process, but they aren't doing fast enough for the amount of population that we have. So I think I'd motivate them by saying, you don't have a choice, you need to start coming. Actually, the first part to entrepreneurship is knowing yourself, so that you're able to pinpoint your interests, and from then on you're able to pinpoint where is the gap in the market, where can I apply my business, right? So that's how I'd motivate them. Self-discovery, so that you're able to implement entrepreneurship. Educate yourself. Doesn't necessarily have to be university education, because it's not accessible to all of us. Take a course, do whatever you need to, and then from then on implement the steps, and be open to learn, go to people that are in the field that you're interested in, take from them, and that's basically how I would motivate them to start being entrepreneurs.
Let's talk about the young girls and boys that are trying to apply for bursaries like NSFAS. NSFAS has so many stories, and there are so many young girls and boys that are trying to, further their studies, but then they can't because NSFAS is failing them. So, what's your take on that, and how can our country improve?
The NSFAS issue is a big one. I feel like the way that our country can improve is if us as its citizens started taking action. And as much as the government is supposed to be able to take care of this, there's a lot of gaps in the government and in the NSFAS system. I mean, there's a girl who got money transferred to her by mistake. That money that could have taken somebody else to school. So I think businesses, corporate South Africa needs to start saying, how can we help our community? Every business in South Africa has to pay tax, but in above paying tax, you can also do charity, as a means of paying for tax. So you can start raising bursaries, take children to school, then when they're done, you hire them. So that's how I feel like our country can move towards a better South Africa and taking children to school. If corporate South Africa actually started doing the necessary steps to not just sit back and say, we're fine, we have money, we don't need to see what comes next. Because at the end of the day, 10 years down the line, they're going to need a new line of people to employ. So they definitely need to stand up and, take charge in raising the funds. Not to say that we're entitled to their money, but as part of South African citizens, if you're working in South Africa, taking South Africans' money, then you definitely have to give back to the South Africans who are helping you stay afloat.
Let's talk about registering to vote. I know many people do not want to register because they do not believe it's worth it or it does not make any impact. So how can you motivate our youth to actually start registering to vote? And did you register to vote?
Yes, I registered.
Okay, girl.
I registered to vote.
Like that.
I'd just say that, especially for the youth, this is our country, guys. This is our country. The generations are gonna pass, and we're gonna be stepping into those leadership roles. And we have to be living in a country that is gonna be stable and good enough for our children. We can't all flee South Africa. That's the thing. So it's important for us to vote. It's important for us to have a say in our leaders. Like I said before, when one person does something, it makes so much more difference than somebody who does nothing at all. Because to be honest, you have no right to complain if you're not trying to make it better.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk about the fact that they are being demotivated to vote, to register even. What's the reason? Why do you think they are so demotivated to actually just get online, take their phones, and just register? Like, what's the reason?
I think there's a multiple reasons for that. First of all, being the state of the country, the corruption in our country makes a lot of people lose hope. But I think that not everybody's corrupt, and the reason why we vote is so that the few or the people that are not corrupt can stand up for us and take charge. And another reason that demotivates people is a lack of education. They don't know what to vote for. They don't know which is the right party. And to be honest, we won't know until we try. So in as much as we do feel demotivated, in as much as our country is not where it should be as yet, we truly never know until we try. So register to vote.
Guys, please register to vote. Do not forget. Applications are still open, so please. Okay, so please tell me about Palesa. Dig deep.
Okay.
Ne? Tell me, who's Palesa?
Yo, that's such a broad question, hey. I feel like Palesa is a very deep person. I think of things on a deeper level, you know. I take everything as something to have more meaning to it. Palesa is, I'd like to say, kind. Palesa is family orientated. You know, I'm very set in my values and my morals. Palesa is a person who's not to stand up for what is right and who's able to speak up for herself. And in as much as I'm able to speak up for myself, I think my personality has a balance because I'm also very reserved. You know, I'm not, I get like, I won't just jump on you, you know. Like I said, I need to warm up and defrost and things like that. But that's basically me in a nutshell. Deep, friendly. You'll tell me something.
Yeah, you are. You're very open, which I like about you, you know. So tell me about, what's your take on pop culture and the club life? Do you go clubbing?
No.
Do you think it contradicts you as a model, and you, like, you know, does it contradict your lifestyle?
Yes. To be honest, modeling has very high standards. There's a certain image that you have to bring across. And to be honest, modeling is not easy because in a certain extent, you have to remove the human part of yourself, you know. You look at your age mates, they're going to groove, they're going out, and when you have to be left out, or you can't take pictures at groove, you can't take videos because that's your public image. You could lose everything from a single video or a single picture. So I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with club culture, each to their own, but I definitely think as a model, you have to bring up a certain brand, and unfortunately we're not at the stage in modeling where that's permitted. I don't think we're ever gonna get there. Like I said, the brand. So that's club culture.
The brand does say a lot.
Exactly.
So do you think club life contributes to prostitution?
Yes. I think it does.
In what way?
I think I'm not going to sugarcoat because like I said, you have to be honest to make change in society. It definitely does. Club culture is centered around who's the bigger baller. That's what it's centered around. It's centered around who's the bigger man, who's more macho in this room. You know,
who's the baddest.
Yes, the whole concept of bottle girls with the, what is it called? The sprinkles. The stuff, right? Is to bring praise and adoration to that guy who's popping the most bottles, right? And as the girlies, I don't want it to be a gender focused thing, but as women, they tend to gravitate to the person who is most wealthy. You know, that's just the reality of our society. You know, we all gravitate towards the person who's more accomplished. And it does lead to prostitution because club culture, a lot of the times, you get into a section, you drink his alcohol for free. And in as much as he's not entitled to you, in a sense, it's like, who are you to say you're not going to home with me tonight?
Yeah.
You drank my alcohol, you had a good time, so now you have to go home with me.
Yeah.
So I think in a sense that's how it leads to prostitution, I'd say. And it goes further than that. If it's not bottles, it's money.
Yeah.
You know, it's saying, if you go home with me tonight, I'll look after you forever. You know, if you want that 15K, you have it.
Yeah.
So I think it definitely does. We can't ignore the fact that it does. A lot of people are losing their lives due to club culture. A lot of people are getting sick due to club culture. So yeah, definitely.
I feel like there are so many girls that are in the process of being a prostitute and they are not aware, which is very sad. Girls that do go out clubbing week in, week out, and they just lack the information, and you know, they are so lost in the industry of being a baddie, you know, being the hottest girl. And how can we like bring about awareness and show them that this is what you're doing and these are going to be the circumstances?
That is very true. I think social media plays a very big part in this, what's happening in the world right now. Social media brings up this stigma or this image that, you know, a club, whatever, you're getting money, this is the way to go. But I think we also can't necessarily judge because when you're in it, you can't see.
Yeah, true.
You see,
True.
when you're in it, when you're within, when you're having fun, you can't.
You don't see it the way people see it. You're like, I'm
When are you
living
think
my
it's
best
okay?
life.
You see,
I'm
when are you
living my
think it's
best
okay
life.
to get
I'm
in a
catching
club?
flights.
Yes.
You know.
Exactly. You think it's okay to get in a club? It's just club culture. I'm gonna live with the guy that pops the most. You know, the club culture was. But is it okay? You don't know what diseases you're opening yourself up to. So it's a very sticky situation. Like I said, when you're in it, you don't really know, and it takes somebody from outside to be able to say that. Look, this is club culture. People like Jackie Pamotse, in as much as she's very controversial, I respect her because she speaks the truth.
True.
You know, she says it just as it is. So I think in a way that we can help our girls is more Jackie Pamotse. Not necessarily, not bashing people the way she does necessarily, but just having the conversations and saying it as it is without sugarcoating, so that anybody who wants to enter that culture knows what is in store for them. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about relationships once again, because it's very confusing, right? There are girls that are in relationships and they have men that spend money on them. They might not be going to clubs and they might not be doing all these other things that people think, oh, this is prostitution and, you know, you're a baddie, you're not, you're what, you're this, you're that. Let me say she's a modest woman and she has a boyfriend that spends money on her and spoils her and gives her all the things that she wants, and all she does is give him sex. Doesn't that fall under prostitution? Doesn't that fall under prostitution? Guys, let's be honest. Let's be honest, ne? Okay, you can be judging girls that go clubbing, but then aren't you doing the same thing? The only difference is that you do not show people. You do not drink alcohol. You do not do all these things that these girls are doing, but aren't you doing the same thing?
Yeah, that one is very controversial because I have two opinions on it. My first one is that I believe in gender roles to a certain extent, right? I believe that a male figure has to look after their women. Not to say that women can't be independent or look after themselves, but I definitely believe in the sense that your husband or your partner should look after you, right? But I think we cross the line when it becomes an exchange. You see, from the way you describe it, it seems very transactional to me.
Yeah.
I sort out your whole life and I just have intercourse with you, right? Which I feel like it can be a form of prostitution to a certain extent, right? Now we have to say it in the right way because there's different ways in the way the situation can come across.
True.
But in a situation where, because prostitution, I feel like it's more the person in power, the more dominant person, and then you're the weak one relying on them, right? I feel like the way we classify it is if it's somewhat abusive and controlling, that's how you know that, okay, this is leading towards prostitution. Because why is a person able to say, you can't do this, you can't leave, you can't hang out with this person, you know, have intercourse with me right now or else. So, it's very controversial, but it can be prostitution to a certain extent.
Okay, so let's finish. Let's close up the topic, right?
Okay.
How would you define prostitution? And how would you define being in a relationship? Let's talk about the difference.
Okay. I feel like prostitution is one-sided. It's a power dynamic. That's what prostitution is. Prostitution is a power dynamic. The person who has more power, whether it be financially, whether it be in terms of stature, whatever the case may be, is in charge of that relationship, and then the partner just follows. If you say jump, I jump. As society, we know prostitution the old-fashioned way of like just going to Hillbrow, getting into a room. You know what I mean? But it's more broader than that now in this day and age, like what you mentioned, right? But I feel like a relationship, what sets it apart is the balance. A relationship has balance of the power dynamic. In as much as there's a person who will take charge, depending on your personality traits, some women like to take charge, and that's okay. But there's a balance. You take turns. This partner will handle this, that partner will handle that. Whereas prostitution is really the alpha male and the lower person. So yeah, that's the difference for me.
So, okay, let me ask you this one question. Does having sex with your partner that's not married to you make you a prostitute?
No.
It doesn't.
No.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Thank you for being so open. And I feel like this topic is very sensitive and it might touch a lot of people, but I just want us to be very honest, because we're just trying to make women aware of there are certain things that they're doing that they are not clearly aware of. Yeah. So I really like asking my guests this question. How would you define a woman in power?
Okay. So I would say a woman in power is somebody who knows themselves, who knows who they are, who knows their morals and values. It is somebody who is confident, and above all else, it is somebody that accepts themselves for everything that they are, the good parts and the bad parts. And most of all, a woman in power is somebody who says, in as much as I want to better myself every day, how can I better the people around me? For me, that's a woman in power.
I love your answer.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's end this whole episode with trying to empower our young women that are watching and young girls that look up to Palesa. And please give them your 2 cents.
Okay, I'm Palesa once again. And I would say stay true to self. Don't lose yourself in the midst of social media, in the midst of pop culture, because at the end of the day, that's not real life. Social media is a facade. We put up the things that we like on there. Stay true to self. Be confident in yourself. And most of all, let every success that you have benefit the people around you. That's the only way you will grow in life. So that's the message that I would like to leave you guys with. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank
I really
you for
enjoyed my
having
time
me.
with you.
I had a great time.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you guys for watching. Catch you next time on the next episode. Bye.